Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Another very long, very boring, very brutally painful episode of Monday Night Raw came our way tonight. And the only thing I learned from watching this show was the Charlotte Flair problem is completely out of control. And one other thing we may have picked up on, which is something we've known for actually quite some time, and this episode just pretty much proves it, that the WWE, the biggest wrestling company in the whole entire world, forgot how to do pro wrestling. And we are going to talk about all of that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You want to talk about a poop hammer worthy show? Then you look no further than this edition of Monday Night Raw on June the 8th, 2020. What a tremendously terrible night it was to be a wrestling fan. If you were watching this show, I give you credit for making it to the end. I almost didn't make it. I have had 3 of these. Do you see this? This is an iced coffee filled with caramel, and it's got 1 sugar in it just for a little extra punch because I need every single ounce of this to try to help me get through to the end and not fall asleep. This show should be sponsored by NyQuil, or maybe the other thing. I forgot what it's called, but there's that sleep aid, or the anti-sleep aid, the one that keeps you awake, maybe like a 5-hour energy or some shit like that. But this show is abysmal. It has reached the depths of which maybe it can never even return until we maybe have some fans back into attendance, because the live crowd, this paid WWE employee crowd with the scripted audience participation, makes everything even worse. But there is nothing worse than what is going on in the WWE and the Charlotte Flair problem, which has reached epic proportions. Epic proportions. Do you guys realize that in the last 24 hours, we had to watch Charlotte Flair wrestle 3 times? 3 times. And every single match she was in, she actually shouldn't have been in. She should not have been anywhere near NXT. She shouldn't be anywhere near Asuka and the Raw Women's Championship. And that unnecessary triple threat tag team nonsense that opened tonight's Monday Night Raw was exactly that, nonsense. It was unnecessary, and it was only put there to start to remind everybody that there's an issue between Charlotte and Asuka. We had to manufacture some artificial beef between these two longtime rivals. If their rivalry is that epic, you don't need to add any more flavor to the dish. It's ready to go. Put it on the table and let everybody scarf it up. But no, we gotta add Sasha and Bayley. We gotta add the Iconics. We gotta make Charlotte wrestle 2 times tonight on Raw, even though she wrestled 24 hours ago at TakeOver in the main event. And while we're talking about that, since I didn't do a review on TakeOver, let's just talk about it because it's part of the Charlotte Flair problem, and it's a great illustration. What was the point of Charlotte Flair even going to NXT? She won the championship from Rhea Ripley, which shouldn't have happened. They should have let Rhea Ripley win that match and establish her as a legitimate threat in the women's division. Somebody to keep your eye on. Somebody to keep a lookout for. But no, Charlotte Flair can't lose. We can't tarnish her impeccable legacy. So Charlotte wins the NXT championship. She continues for the next couple of months to shit all over every single woman she comes in contact with. Because who did Charlotte lose to on this NXT championship run? Nobody. Who did she put over? Nobody. Did she put over Bianca Belair? No. Did she put over Io Shirai? No. And even though last night at NXT TakeOver in Your House she dropped the championship, she did so without actually losing. So what did she give back to anybody? Nothing. But the WWE just couldn't take the chance. God forbid Charlotte Flair suffers a loss. It was prime for her to do just that. All the shit talking she did, all of the, just everything they did with the Charlotte angle in general, with the NXT, it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary, especially when you look and see that now She put over nobody. Io Shirai is the NXT Women's Champion. Great. She pinned Rhea Ripley to get it. Rhea Ripley wasn't the champion, so Charlotte was there for no reason. They wanted her to raise the ratings in NXT, and all that did was backfire. And what does she get as a reward for all of this? She gets to be in the main event of Monday Night Raw and the opening segment, and she's going to wrestle the women's champion of the brand. Why? Somebody needs to explain to me the logistics of why a woman that, even though she didn't have her shoulders pinned to the mat, technically lost 24 hours ago, was scheduled to go one-on-one with Asuka, not for the championship, but why? Asuka's wrestling Nia Jax in just 6 days. Why is she wrestling Charlotte tonight? It's unnecessary. It has been the bane of the existence of the women's division, the way that the WWE positions Charlotte Flair. Now, it's important for me at this point to tell you guys that I actually, you might not believe this, but I don't have a problem with Charlotte Flair. Sure, she comes off as robotic and mechanic in her promos. Sure, she's pushed down our throats, which is the actual problem, but Charlotte Flair, among all of the women on the roster, is probably one of the best as far as an athletic standpoint. She has the Flair pedigree in her name, so she automatically demands the marquee. But the problem with Charlotte Flair is the way the WWE positions her and shoves her down our throat, and no more have I ever been full of Charlotte Flair than in the last 24 hours, and it needs to stop. Everything that happened with her tonight on Monday Night Raw, completely unnecessary. There are at least 15 other girls in this company that should be getting pushed. We already mentioned whatever happened to Bianca Belair. She came to Monday Night Raw and then she vanished. Vanished completely. You got girls like Kairi Sane on the roster getting injured by Nia Jax on a weekly basis instead of going out there and wrestling somebody like Charlotte Flair in a decent match. And then you go and make it even worse. Not only did we have to watch Charlotte Flair 2 times tonight, but she gets a 30-minute main event spot in Monday Night Raw. Nearly 30 minutes she went with Asuka, which I don't necessarily have a problem with the wrestling in that match, but Nia Jax came out after nearly 30 minutes to try to interfere in this match, was unsuccessful, but caused enough of a distraction for Charlotte Flair to pin the Raw Women's Champion, who's got a defense in just a few days. This is not how you build characters. This is not how you make things feel like it's must-see. How is having Asuka lose to Charlotte Flair because of a failed distraction by Nia Jax make it seem like Nia versus Asuka is so must-see? Oh, well, Nia cost Asuka the match at the end of the day. Who cares? Asuka shouldn't have been fighting Charlotte in the first place tonight. I don't understand it. We've seen so much of her on SmackDown, on NXT. It's overexposure, even more so than the Roman Reigns agenda. You thought Roman Reigns was something. Vince McMahon is that old grandpa. You know, we all have one. For some of us, it's our dad. For some of you guys, it's your grandpa. But they're these older men in their late 60s, early 70s, and maybe even beyond that, who are just set in their ways. They're stuck in their ways, they're hard-headed, and they don't learn nothing. They don't learn from their mistakes. And he didn't learn from what he did with Roman. He didn't learn from what he did with John Cena, and how the fans eventually are going to rebel and turn against this because we want to see more than just this one person continuously get rewarded time and time again with championship match after championship match, or against champions, or in main events when they don't command the respect of the audience anymore. When they're played out. When they're just overexposed. I can't get the taste of Flair out of my throat. That sounded disgusting, but it's an accurate and honest truth. I am so done with it. And I hate it even more because I did love Charlotte Flair. The first time I seen her in NXT when she was hanging out down there doing her thing, I knew Charlotte Flair was going to be a big deal. She's got all the tools to be a big star. But they're making too much of her right now. And a little time off would do wonders for Charlotte Flair right now. It's just become too much. And their failures in the women's division are just as equaled in the tag team division. This is a problem we talk about all the time. And once again tonight, when I tell you guys the WWE has forgotten how to do wrestling, there is no more clearer example of that than what happened involving Bobby Lashley and MVP tonight. Bobby Lashley and MVP, for some unknown reason, were put into a match against the Viking Raider Warrior Raider Raiders. They suddenly became friends with Drew McIntyre tonight in some silly backstage segment where Drew McIntyre acknowledged how hot one of them was and how the other one not so much, continuing that stupid gag that they keep pulling during all their stupid sports antics. And we'll get to the Decrapathon later. Decrapathon. Nobody gave a crap about any of that. Not any more than they gave a crap about Bobby Lashley teaming up with his manager, a 50-year-old, I believe at this point in his life, MVP, who said he was going to be a manager and has now seen more action in the WWE than he's seen in his final year under his actual contract years ago. I've said that MVP doesn't need to be in the ring, and I stick by that. He wasn't terrible tonight, but the fact that the Viking Raiders, who are the number one contenders to the Raw Tag Team Championships, which are held by the Street Profits right now, lost on Monday Night Raw tonight to Bobby Lashley and his manager. That's all I have to tell you. How do you treat your number one contenders that way? You've spent the last few weeks showing us all these ridiculous skits and segments trying to build this rivalry without actually having them wrestle. And while that might be a different way to go about things, it certainly wasn't the right way. And you know what would have made it all pay off? Here's where my brain tells you what should have happened tonight. The whole segment with Lashley and the Viking Raiders should have ended by having the Street Profits attack the Viking Raiders before the end of the match, costing them the match, and bringing all of these bullshit fun and games antics to an end, giving themselves a little bit of a serious edge, and aligning themselves with MVP and Bobby Lashley, and forming a group that's about taking things seriously now. The time for all the joking and the dance parties and the stupidness of all of these things that they've done in the last couple of weeks is over. And you know what? It would have actually, in hindsight, made all of that stuff worth it. Because how angry have we been with how nonsensical all of these bowling segments have been, and all of this other shit that I don't even want to remember. I'm not even going to try to remember all the other segments. I'm trying hard to forget about them. Just like I'm trying hard to forget about the Decrapalon tonight. But it would have all at least been worth it if we would have had the turn by the Street Profits and turn it into a serious angle. Give them some meaning to want to beat the crap out of each other. Have the Street Profits be like, yo, we're sick of this, man. We're sick of all these games. We're the Raw Tag Team Champions. We deserve respect. You don't want to give us respect? We're going to beat some respect into you. And now we got MVP as our manager because we are taking things seriously. It would have been great. It would have gave everything a little bit more meaning going forward. But now, who cares about the Viking Raiders? They lost to a makeshift duo, a wrestler and his manager. So who gives a shit? If they can't beat Bobby Lashley by himself, essentially, then what chance do they have against the Street Profits? A complete and utter failure in the tag team division on all levels. And you sacrifice your number one contenders to build one man who's in a completely different storyline, going for a completely different championship. How does that make sense? It certainly doesn't to me. And it shouldn't to any one of you. I also do not understand what they're doing with Seth Rollins. Is his feud with Rey Mysterio? Is his feud with Aleister Black? How is it possible he's feuding with both? This is another case of a little bit of overexposure. The Monday Night Man Bun doesn't need to be so focused on two different people. Can we focus our attention on one thing? These guys can't write a story worth watching between two individuals, and now you're complicating things by throwing Aleister Black into the mix because suddenly Rey Mysterio's a mentor to Aleister Black. Sure, they're friends, but why is Aleister Black really going to bat so hard for a guy like Rey Mysterio? And the only thing that comes out of all this, sure, we have Rey Mysterio with his interview, and he wants to tease whether or not he's coming back. He's not sure. His eye's okay. His eye's not okay. The doctor's like, I don't know. But then he starts talking to Seth Rollins, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to come and I'm going to kick your ass for what you put through my family. Seth Rollins is like, please, you should have stepped away a long time ago, and all the same shit he always says. Just a repeat of the same segment over and over with these interviews. Then Rey Mysterio said something weird about hitting him with the 619, and it just didn't really gel together, and I didn't really care too much for any of it. And it only led to a tag team match featuring Aleister Black with his new little buddy, Dr. Dimples, Humberto Carrillo, going up against Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins' little running buddies. And what do you think happens here? They completely embarrass Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, having Black and Carrillo beat these two guys in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes. Like Humberto Carrillo, he took Austin Theory to the outside. The next thing you know, Aleister Black kicks Buddy Murphy's jaw clear off his face when he comes off the top rope, and the match is over before it even begun. But this is what this whole segment was all about. Eventually, the Black Hand of the Monday Night Man Bun made his way down, and they ended up jumping everybody at the end. We had the crowd telling everybody they sucked because that's what they were told to chant in the moment. It just was really kind of forced, and I was more invested in Seth versus Rey. I think like that's what everybody's really wanting to see come to a culmination. That's what they've actually been building towards. But not having Rey Mysterio around doesn't mean you have to throw Aleister Black in as a stand-in, so to speak, instead of finding a way to continue to build between Rey and Seth. What they did with the interview was more than enough. You could have had a singles match for Aleister Black versus anybody else. Start up his own program, building him up simultaneously as you're continuing to build this heel Seth Rollins off the back of this Rey Mysterio angle. This is how wrestling is supposed to go. You're not supposed to just jumble it all up into one big bowl, come up with some disgusting goo, and then feed it to us and tell us it's delicious. And if we disagree, we're marks. We're smarks, and we're just guys in our basement, right? Well, I ain't in my basement, dickhead. I'm in my office. And in this office, we see wrestling clearly. Which is why we sit here to tell you guys everything wrong with this ridiculous show. The only thing worth watching tonight on this show was the Peep Show. And since we talk about everything wrong with Monday Night Raw, this is, again, another point that we've talked about on this show many times when they decide to do this. They bring in a guy like Christian. They pair him with his brother, his partner, Edge, and they're going to work a promo segment opposite Randy Orton. And these three guys go out there and show you how it's done and why the next generation and the younger guys can't perform on the mic the way the old guard can. I just don't understand what is it that's keeping them from getting that spark. You don't think Randy Orton was scripted? Of course he was. But he delivered it like a professional. Everything that was said between Edge and Christian was said with passion and fire and was 100% believable. And it brought you in. It pulled you in. It was compelling. Whether you're a fan of Edge or whether you're a fan of Randy Orton, everything that happened within this segment, it had your attention. Edge doesn't believe in himself anymore. He's doubting himself. Christian confronted him about it. He's trying to let him know, wait, you're Edge. What the hell's wrong with you? If you don't believe you're Edge, if you don't know that you're Edge, then don't even come out here. He addressed him by his real name. He was calling him Adam. He talked about how every time he was in the ring, Edge had his mom right there watching and supporting. And she's still doing that just because she's not here in physical form. As many of us, many of you guys actually as well, probably have lost somebody that's important to you that you would love to be around. In my case, it's my mom as well, and some of you guys probably are in the same boat. So you understand that metaphor. They're still here. She's still watching. She's still with you. So go be Edge. And then Edge got like a fire in his eyes, and he really didn't say all that much out there tonight. But Christian was satisfied with the look. And then Randy Orton came on. He was like, listen, you guys, spare me all this nonsense. And he continued to go on. And he was eloquent. He had purpose in his voice. And he wanted Edge to know that everything that he's doing and this great comeback of Edge, it's all come to an end. All he wants to do is send him back home to his wife and his 2 beautiful children so that he could live a happy life. It's great storytelling. And the promo work by these veterans is top notch. When I heard they were going to do the Peep Show, I initially was like, oh God, another freaking talk show segment. We're going to have the VIP lounge and the Peep Show on the same show. I'm surprised they didn't throw in a taste of Alexa Bliss and a moment of bliss. A taste of bliss. A lot of people would like a taste of bliss. I meant that much. But, you know, the show's called A Moment of Bliss. I don't know why I said that. Maybe it's a little Freudian slip. I don't know. But whatever. Let's move past it. You get the point. We've been so flooded with all the talk shows. The KO show, this one show, that show. More often than not, they go nowhere. But this was must-see type stuff. The only thing on Raw worth seeing. And it just... It upsets me that the only time I'm sitting here telling you guys, for the most part, how great some of the promo work is, we're talking about guys that, depending on who you're talking about, are either retired, or were retired, or are soon to be retired. Because they're just cut from a different cloth. They're men from a different age when wrestling was done differently. And sometimes you just can't teach that. And I'm not trying to paraphrase our old friends, you know, Big Cass and Enzo. It's just, it's a fact. Sometimes you have that indelible it factor. And those people you just don't have them anymore. They just aren't there. Sure, we have stars. But none of these guys are legends, man. Edge will go down as a legend. Even Christian. Legendary moments in this business. And industry-wide, he's been a World Heavyweight Champion elsewhere. Randy Orton. Surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. Legend. Is Roman Reigns a legend? Is Seth Rollins a legend? Any of these guys? Legendary? I don't know. I mean, maybe AJ, maybe Daniel. And that's the only thing we got looking forward to this week is Friday. If the WWE does the right thing, which I don't expect them to, we're going to get a classic between those two. But we got a classic segment tonight. Edge responded to Randy Orton. Randy Orton says, the redemption of Edge is over. Edge responded, no, it's not. He dropped the microphone and left. Turned, gave a little nod of respect to his brother Christian for thanks to put me back on track, little buddy. And then on we went. We had an interview with MVP, who was wearing a Shad Gaspard t-shirt, which I thought was fantastic. He said, and his whole purpose was to talk about the effectiveness of the full Nelson. Now, the full Nelson is a move that's as old as wrestling itself. It's something that nobody's really used in recent years. It's kind of a silly move. I never really thought of it as a very threatening, very powerful move. But if the WWE does the right thing in this scenario, they will continue to protect that move, let nobody else do anything similar to that move. And if they continue to build it, it could become something unique to Bobby Lashley that makes him stand out, and it could work out for the best. What we don't need is segments with MVP explaining the effectiveness of the full Nelson, only to have R-Truth show up and be locked in the full Nelson by Bobby Lashley for no... I mean, there was nothing you missed here. There was no reason for any of this. We had more than enough time for them with the VIP lounge coming up later. The Street Profits Viking Raiders Decathlon segment. My God, I have had just about enough of all of this. Each team picked 5 different events. I wanted to kill myself after the first one. The first segment was the 1600-meter dash, where the Street Profits obviously won. Then the Raiders selected archery, that they won. The Street Profits then wanted to play Flip Cup. Great. I'd rather watch people play Flip Cup on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. At least there, I'm going to laugh genuinely, because that, my friends, is real comedy, not this crap. Then they had sword fighting. I don't know when sword fighting and flip cupping have ever been part of any decathlon ever. Archery, I'll give you. The running, obviously. But, my God. Sword fighting. All of this stuff was produced terribly. And was very cheesy. And didn't come off as funny, in my opinion. Maybe you thought it was funny. Good. You had a few chuckles. At least you had a reason to enjoy yourself. But I certainly don't see enjoyment in any of this. And then they had the hurdles. Who cares? I mean, who cares? At the end of this thing, the Viking Raiders ended up winning, I guess. And they used this later as a stat. Oh, well, the Viking Raiders had a great night in the decathlon. What? This isn't a real thing. It all ended with a dance-off where they're dancing, taking turns dancing to wrestlers' theme songs. One used HBK's song, one used the Fandango music. Please spare me. Spare me. This is not professional wrestling. Then there was a shot put. There was like fucking 10 events. It was supposed to be 5. Then it was each team picked 5. I'm like, ugh. This is way too much. Way too much. Pole vaulting. Shot putting. I don't care. And neither did you. And they went through all of this to end up in a 5-on-5 draw. But they made it seem like the Viking Raiders had the better of the two nights. I don't know. Then we had Apollo Crews come out to introduce the fact that we're going to have a triple threat match. Another triple threat match. There was so many triple threat matches. It was ridiculous. We had the triple threat tag team match to open the show. We had this triple threat. We had the triple threat main event last night at NXT. We had the triple threat tag team to open last night's NXT. Will you guys stop it? It's like once they get one idea, they just really got to hammer it into the ground and just continue to do it because they can't think of anything else. And plus, it always gives them an easy out whenever there's a championship involved so that they don't have to hurt anybody's feelings. If you weren't going to have Kevin Owens win this match and go on to challenge Apollo Crews, then he just shouldn't have been in this match at all. Could have very easily told the story of Andrade being forced into a match with Angel Garza, putting Zelina Vega in the middle, and it would have been more interesting. But now Kevin Owens is out there. I automatically assumed he was going to win, and that Andrade was there to get the pinfall. But boy, was I wrong! As Andrade got the pinfall on Angel Garza, who suffered most of his damage thanks to Kevin Owens, and then they did the same old thing. Kevin Owens lost without actually losing. Garza suffered the pinfall, and Andrade is going to be served up to Apollo Crews this Sunday, and is most likely going to lose. I don't see any reason why the WWE would book him to win this match. They have never shown that they cared a lick about Andrade. They give him a championship and then just let him sit in mediocrity. And he goes out there and has great matches and gets nothing for it. And I expect him and Apollo to have a great match for the United States Championship. But if Apollo Crews doesn't win this match, then man, what a failure it is on that part as well. So they're kind of booked, once again, into a no-win situation. Because if Andrade loses, he continues to be on this downward spiral, losing momentum and continuing to mean absolutely nothing to the roster as a threat. Because, yeah, you can wrestle, but you can't win. You can't win. And if Apollo loses, everything that they have just done over the last couple of weeks to build him up, coming off the injury return that kept him out of the Money in the Bank, it's going to be all for nothing, and he's going to be relegated right back to the catering bin with everybody else. So I don't understand it. And we also have the teasing here of the further dissolution of Zelina Vega's sexy boys, as Garza and Andrade having that finish seemed to create a little bit of tension there, and I'm sure will continue Maybe Angel Garza costs Andrade the match this Sunday, and Zelina will move to Angel Garza and get away from Andrade. I don't know what the plan is, but whatever it is, I hope they think it through, and I hope they flesh it out to make sense. Because nothing really that happened tonight on Monday Night Raw made any sense. And oh, in case you guys were missing Charlotte Flair and didn't get enough of her between the opening segment, the opening match, and the main event from last night's TakeOver, and every subsequent promo she has had in between, we had another promo. Because we had to know what Charlotte Flair's thoughts about last night was. So let's see what they were. Charlotte says she didn't lose last night. We know this. I just pointed that out at the beginning of this broadcast. She accomplished her goal to elevate NXT. How? How did you elevate the NXT Championship? You weren't even involved in the decision in your final match with it. So you did nothing. You stood there and holding it next to your beautiful blonde locks and did nothing to elevate or promote or put over anybody you came across. All you did was take the diehard NXT fans and turn them against the show, turn them against the women's division, and turn them against the company. Because what once felt safe, like watching an NXT that had its hands, that was free from the hands of the main roster, now you could feel and smell the stench of Vince McMahon all over this stuff. So all you did was ruin it. The best part about this was Asuka, who likes to be dancing now and continues to be booked to act like a clown, came out doing just that, dancing around, doing her little Asuka thing, and Charlotte Flair apparently was as fed up with it as I was and was like, don't you take anything seriously? Then Asuka smacked the taste right out of Charlotte's mouth and said, yeah, I do, and walked away. Best part of everything I've seen from Charlotte in 24 hours was her getting smacked in the face by Asuka after talking some crap. We then seen an argument from Garza and Andrade backstage. We go right past that because I don't really care too much. Kurt Angle talked about the Edge and Randy Orton match. He said having a great match came down to chemistry. Randy Orton and Edge might have some chemistry, but Randy Orton is not known for his classics. And Edge is always been one of my favorites. I know he has the capability of giving you the greatest match that he can, but the greatest match ever? I don't think so. Especially after a near 9-year layover, or is it? He's had one match since then, and now he's going to be in the greatest match ever. It's a terrible way to book this thing. The VIP lounge featured Bobby Lashley. They had to keep cutting to Lana for some reason because they think we still care about Lana's involvement in this whole thing, when I just can't wait for her to be excommunicated from it and just be completely away from it. She's nothing but a distraction, and she definitely doesn't fit in what they're doing with Bobby Lashley and MVP. Then McIntyre came out. The heavyweight champion Drew McIntyre came out, issued a warning to Bobby Lashley as they were running him down in the VIP lounge. MVP then would try to attack him from behind, but McIntyre gave him a headbutt. The Viking Raiders came in for the save, and then we got the impromptu matchup. The Street Profits came out with the Viking Raiders, as if the four of them were some sort of a faction or a team or a bunch of friends, and they're supposed to be wanting to kill each other for the tag team championships. So, you know, there's that. And even so, if they, like we were saying earlier, if they did this and they came out and they were all gung-ho and buddy and being on board for the Viking Raiders and screaming and just cheering them on throughout the entirety of the match, and then turned on them in the end and cost them everything, it would have been so great. I would have been sitting here telling you how much I think this was a fantastic idea. But they did the opposite. And they allowed the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits to continue to act like clowns, and then they served up the Viking Raiders to Bobby Lashley, who beat them practically on his own in 15 minutes. So what was the point? What was the point? What did you accomplish? Does Bobby Lashley look any better? Did this really put him any closer to Drew McIntyre and the World Championship? No. Did it do anything to make you think the Viking Raiders are worthy of a tag team championship or any sort of championship or any sort of accolade at all when they are losing to a team like Bobby Lashley and MVP? Doesn't do it for me. So I struggle to find the logic. I struggle to see the point. which makes it all useless. And I wish it wasn't. I wish they took it more seriously. I gave you the perfect way to end all of this. End the stupid nonsense. End the skits. And get back to business. But WWE wants to tell jokes. They want to play games. They want to make a mockery of the tag team division and its athletes. And it's almost too much. And just when you think it's too much, they give you Charlotte Flair versus Asuka in a non-title match. But this non-title match went longer than I think every single one of their championship matches. And ended with the champion being pinned by Charlotte Flair. And there's just no excuse for that. We're not even going to go back into it. We talked in length about the damage that the WWE is doing with their Charlotte Flair addiction. It's just insufferable at this point. No matter who the women's champion was, she should not be losing to anybody 6 days out from a title defense, regardless of outside interference or not. This is something that should have been done like weeks ago. Could have already moved past and have Asuka reestablish herself as a dominant champion, while at the same time building Nia Jax as a credible force and a credible challenger. But that's not what we did. Try to take the easy way out. And then to make it even worse, and I don't know how you can make it even worse, but they did. They found a way to make it worse because they have Asuka and Charlotte out there. They're ready to start this match. And then Sasha and Bayley come out, and I'm like, why? They weren't even a factor in the finish of the opening match. Charlotte Flair and Asuka won that too. The Iconics were there just to take the loss, and Sasha and Bayley showed up to what? Charlotte and Asuka have nothing to do with the women's tag team division. Asuka has lost that title and has since moved on. Charlotte Flair has not had anything to do with the women's tag team division. She doesn't even have a tag team partner. Why are they out there? Did we really need all the extra people on commentary tonight? Did Drew McIntyre need to be out there with the Street Profits to cheer on the Viking Raiders? I don't understand it. Sasha and Bayley came out to be very distracting on commentary while we went through a half an hour of action. Bayley's been kind of funny. I'll give her that. She's been a little wacky. It's been kind of crazy. But whatever. It is what it is. And it is horrible. It is horrible. Monday Night Raw goes off the air tonight. Nia Jax waits a half an hour to go beat up Asuka. And then Charlotte Flair wins because of it. And I feel dirty even saying that sentence. And ladies and gentlemen, Monday Night Raw was brutal tonight. My God, I thought it would never end. And I didn't know if it was just me. So let me know what you guys, as always, think about tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. It was long. It was brutal. There was not really much to it. The action was meh at best. And the wrong people are winning. And the wrong people are losing. And they continue to do nothing but prove that they are really bad at wrestling now. They don't get it. And it's as clear as the nose on your face. I outlined in this episode multiple ways they could have went about things that would have been great. Let me know which one of my ideas was your favorite in the comments section below. Thank you to all of the new subscribers that have been coming aboard over the last couple of weeks. I can't tell you what it has meant to me to have such a nice amount of growth in such a short amount of time, and we are growing this family one subscriber at a time. If you have not been one of those that has joined, now would be a great time to do so. If you enjoyed this episode of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, we are nearly 40 minutes in. You're still here. You're checking it out. Now's the time to hit that subscribe button, become a Sledgehead today, and join the army of the coolest, newest faction in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, because we are taking over one person at a time. And if I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why the Charlotte Flair problem is out of control and Monday Night Raw suffered tremendously for it, then hit that like button right now if you haven't already done so, and then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they're sick and tired of having Charlotte shoved down their throat as well. And let me just take this moment to reiterate, for those of you that are still here, I love Charlotte. I did. It's just a little bit too much. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team as always, each and every one of you. Don't forget to check out everything else on the channel. The Friday Night SmackDown review, if you missed it, is live, and everything else you need when it comes to the WWE, we are here to cover it for you. And drop the poop hammers, which I forgot to do the graphic, but this whole entire show, we'll do it for you right now before the close. If you're still here, here's your reward. Monday Night Raw was an entire poop hammer episode. In its entirety. From start to finish. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.